Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive.
Yeah.
We are jumping straight into the story that's really defining the high-stakes world of New Zealand rugby right now.
Yep.
The sudden, and I think we have to say premature, departure of Scott Robertson as the All Blacks head coach.
It's a massive story. When a coach of his stature, someone who was, the heir apparent for years, leaves mid-contract,
Right.
it just demands a really serious look at what's going on.
Exactly. So our mission today is to move past the headlines. We're going to be analyzing Robertson's own brief, but very telling parting words.
And also the careful context provided by NZR. We're really just trying to distill the key factors that led to this pretty significant professional shift.
And we're focusing strictly on the facts and the implications from the sources you provided to understand the narrative both sides are building. So if you need this level of targeted, deep analysis on the biggest stories in world rugby, make sure you subscribe to Rugby Obsession right now. We deliver the insights you need, fast and straight from the source. Okay, let's unpack the timeline, because this is really the foundation of the shock, isn't it?
It is. We're talking about a coach leaving midway through a 4-year deal.
He only took over right after the 2023 Rugby World Cup, replacing Ian Foster. The expectation was a full cycle.
A full cycle leading into the next World Cup. He didn't even make it to the halfway point.
Not even close. So what are the numbers then? What did his record look like during this brief tenure?
Okay, so he coached the All Blacks in 27 international matches.
27.
And he got 20 wins and 7 losses. Now, that's a 74% win rate.
Which, for most international teams, you'd be pretty happy with that. That's successful, maybe even exceptional.
Absolutely. But this is the All Blacks. And what this whole situation emphasizes is that for them, success is measured by silverware and complete domination.
So a 74% win rate in that context actually signals a problem.
It signals a big problem. One the organization clearly wasn't willing to overlook.
And the review that drove this wasn't just some standard annual audit, was it?
No. The sources are clear. The decision followed a comprehensive review that was specifically focused on the 2025 international season.
So it was targeted. It was a deep dive into very recent performance metrics.
Exactly. Which suggests that even with a good overall win record, the way they were losing and the failure to secure specific trophies, those were the real tipping point.
Right, so let's get into those specific shortfalls. What were they?
The sources highlight 2 key failures. First, and this is a big one, the team failed to complete a Grand Slam during the Northern Hemisphere tour.
For anyone who needs a refresher, a Grand Slam is beating England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. A clean sweep.
A clean sweep. For the All Blacks, that's not just a goal, it's a non-negotiable expectation. It defines a successful season.
And what about the Rugby Championship? That's the other massive piece of silverware.
Correct. So, compounding that Grand Slam failure, the team fell short of winning the Rugby Championship twice during his tenure.
Wow.
Yeah. So you have to think about the pressure cooker that is New Zealand rugby. They demand dominance not just globally, but in their own backyard.
So to miss out on both.
To miss out on both the Rugby Championship title and the Grand Slam in that review period, it just painted a picture of a program that was faltering when it mattered most.
Let's shift now to the emotional side of this, to Robertson's own statement. It was titled, "Gutted."
Just one word says it all, doesn't it?
It really does. And it sets the tone for this balancing act between, intense personal disappointment and this very high-level professionalism.
And the language he uses is just fascinating. He starts with this immense pride, calling coaching the All Blacks the honor of my life.
So he's not running from failure. This is a statement of his commitment, his emotion.
Right. And then he makes a point of defending his work, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, that felt like a subtle defense of his tenure, didn't it? He said they've brought through a talented group of young players, strengthened the depth, and set solid foundations for the years ahead.
He's pushing a narrative that the program is structurally sound, even if the trophies weren't there.
And then we get to the reason for the early exit. This is probably the most remarkable part of this whole thing.
It really is. After getting what must have been some brutal feedback from that review, he says he concluded that it's in the best interests of the team for him to step aside.
I mean, that is it's an extraordinary move in professional sports. He agreed to end his own contract early.
He did, so that a new coaching group has the time, the full World Cup cycle, to prepare properly.
He's explicit that he's gutted by this outcome. But His professional duty to the All Blacks' future comes first.
And you just have to ask, how often do you see that? A coach who is clearly, emotionally crushed, volunteering that his own departure is what's best for the organization.
It completely changes the narrative from a straightforward firing to something else.
It's an orchestrated professional transition. It's designed to minimize disruption and maximize prep time for the next guys. It's brand management, really.
And he also shut down any future speculation. He said, I will not be making any further comment.
Which is so smart. It closes the door completely. No leaks, no bitter interviews. We're forced to rely on these very carefully crafted statements.
Okay, and if you are valuing the depth of insight we're bringing to this massive story, please just take a moment right now and subscribe to Rugby Obsession. We promise to keep providing this dedicated, evidence-based content analysis every single week. So let's move to the other side of this conversation, the official NZR response from Chairman David Kirk.
And the tone from their side was also remarkably respectful, almost reverent, which is, critical for managing the fallout.
How so?
Well, Kirk thanks Robertson profusely for his service, but the telling part is how he frames the exit. He reinforces Robertson's own narrative,
saying he stepped down based on what both he and NZR believe is in the best interests of New Zealand rugby.
Exactly. He even adds that this team-first attitude is very typical of Scott. It just helps solidify this idea of a mutual high-road decision.
Kirk also made sure to put it all in context, didn't he? He talked about Robertson's entire contribution.
He did. His history as an All Black player, his phenomenal success coaching the Crusaders.
Where he was just completely dominant.
And his work with the New Zealand under-20s. This acknowledgement of his legacy it's not trivial. It's very important.
It kind of softens the blow, I suppose.
It does. It says, we respect this man, he's an icon, but the future of the team demands this tough decision. It protects the organization's image.
Okay, we have to address the rumors. Any high-profile exit like this, there's always going to be talk.
Inevitably. And the sources mention specific claims of a player revolt.
Right, and the NZ Rugby boss, Kirk, he jumped on that immediately. He specifically slammed those claims, confirming that Ardie Savea was not influential in the decision.
And that kind of immediate, forceful clarification is just crucial for damage control.
Why is that?
Because if you let rumors of player power driving coaching changes fester, you create massive instability. By shutting down the Savea talk instantly, NZR keeps the focus where they want it.
Back on the official performance metrics and the professional transition.
Exactly. It prevents a messy distraction from defining the whole story.
And finally, let's zoom out a bit. This isn't just a New Zealand story, is it?
Oh, not at all. The sources already show that this is being analyzed for the major impact it could have on, say, Rassie Erasmus's Springboks.
A change this big in the All Blacks camp has to have ripple effects across the entire international game.
Absolutely. Just think about it. The Springboks, England, Ireland, they would have spent years analyzing Robertson's specific tactical system.
His set plays, his defensive structures.
His player preferences, everything. Now a new coach comes in and there's huge uncertainty. Rivals have to reassess everything. New systems, new selections, maybe a new team culture.
So it gives the All Blacks an element of surprise back.
A huge one. That need to re-scout and re-strategize is a significant disruption for everyone else. It's a short-term challenge for them and a long-term strategic advantage for the All Blacks.
So wrapping this up, what's the core takeaway for you, our listener?
I think it's that Robertson's tenure ended because he failed to meet the incredibly high standards of NZR. That's the bottom line.
Right. But the unified narrative from both him and the organization is all about professionalism. It's about prioritizing the long-term success of the All Blacks program over any one person.
Which leaves us with a really powerful final question for you to think about.
Go on.
How significant is it for the sport that a coach, despite being personally gutted, agrees that stepping aside is what's best for the team? Does this set a new, almost impossibly high standard for coaches? Or is it just a very, very smart manufactured narrative to protect the brand?
It says a lot about the culture they've built, doesn't it?
It says everything.
We really want to know your thoughts on this. What stands out to you about these statements and this decision? Let us know your comments and opinions.
And please don't forget that if you want this kind of depth, subscribe to Rugby Obsession for all the analysis you need.
Thank you for listening to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive, and we look forward to connecting with you on our next Deep Dive.